Hey guys, so Nexus Scourge finally came in the mail. Now, for those of you who are familiar with Nexus, I mean, you know like what a big deal this is, especially being published by Mike Baron, like specifically by himself, not attached to Dark Horse comic books or anything. For those of you who don't know who Nexus is, he's essentially an intergalactic executioner. He gets these dreams of like some of the worst people in the galaxy, and he travels through wormholes and whatnot to basically take them out, put them away forever. This book is about this thing called the Krug, and it's some sort of a huge black mass comprised of fractals that is like a planet killer. People sort of wonder as to whether or not there is like a consciousness behind it, if it just like seeks worlds that are at like the peak of their, debauchery and civilization and just takes them out, or if it's like if it's basically just like some elemental thing that just like destroys at random. And if that's the case, then how do we stop it, kind of a thing. Anybody could read this book and enjoy it. The thing that I've said about Nexus comic books, and I got made fun of quite a bit when I did my Yaira review, because I spent a lot of time talking about how excited I was Mike Baron was doing Gooding. If the Bloody Red Baron happens to watch this, let me know how you pronounce that. But his books are his storytelling is very quirky, and it's like a little bit satirical and a little bit silly too. But it also meshes like the silliness and the caricatures with like a lot of darker themes, and it does so in a very, very good way. It's very, very well blended, It's not like, ice cream and pickles or something like that. The storytelling is very, very unique and very particular. I'm happy to see that Mike Baron is able to continue in the story on his own without like, some big corporate entity looking over his shoulder. The illustrations by Kelsey Shannon are beautiful. The thing that I like the most about Nexus Scourge is this isn't like, one final ride with Nexus, or like, the epitome of Nexus is, like the big deal, that the final thing kind of a thing. It's 48 pages long, which would equate to probably about 2 issues of comic book, and it's just a simple Nexus story. That's it. It doesn't try to outdo anything. It's just a Nexus story for fans of the Nexus comic books. He can easily make another and another and another. And if this book has any indication, I believe they actually are working on some new Nexus projects, which I'm very much looking forward to. So yeah, it's very cool, honestly, just to have the quick read. It's exactly how I remember it. My father was really into Nexus. He actually has a huge Nexus poster somewhere that I believe is signed by Mike Baron. Might be signed by Steve Rude too, I'm not sure. When he was a kid, he grew up with all the Gold Key, Magnus the Robot Fighter comic books and stuff like that. So when they revamped it via Valiant in the 90s, he collected like everything Magnus related, and I believe he happened upon Nexus with the crossover. It was actually Dark Horse and Valiant teaming up to do Magnus and Nexus. And let me tell you something, the artwork in that series was beautiful, and it actually looked very reminiscent of the old Gold Key. So I think that that's what got my dad into Nexus. And then I would like read some of his comic books and stuff. I'm not like a huge fan, like I know everything about it, but I know enough to like pick up on the little Easter eggs. If you are a fan, you're gonna really love it. One thing that made my day was the fact that freaking Vooper is in this book. Vooper was a character in a couple of the comic books who would make a reappearance. He was basically like a businessman, and he was designed to look exactly like Ross Perot. And just a completely cartoonish character. And the second they mentioned his name in this, I was like, dude, they brought back Vooper? That's so freaking funny. At the time, I didn't even know who Ross Perot was, because I didn't really give a shit about politics. I was just a kid. But when my dad explained it to me and showed it to me, I just thought it was the funniest thing. And the fact that, he's in here even just for a little bit is really great. I really had a very fun time with this book. If you guys are looking for something a little bit different and you never read it before, I would highly recommend it. The guy who wrote it walks his own road. He's an honest guy, and he's clearly never going to be corrupted by some big corporate entity. So give it a read. All right, guys. As always, I appreciate you watching my channel. Consider subscribing, and that's all she wrote.